Alright, this video is for the beginning of Unit 8, Lesson 1, which will be on adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. A polynomial is simply any expression that has only variables and whole numbers, both in the coefficient and the exponent. So for instance, 3x squared is a polynomial, but also we could combine. So we could have like 5x squared plus 10x minus 7, or x to the fourth minus 2. Right? These would be examples of polynomials. If we have things that are not whole numbers, for instance, x to the 1/2 power, that would not be a polynomial. Also, if we have anything with negative exponents, so x to the negative 3, that would not be considered a polynomial. We're going to be working with polynomials quite a bit over the next few months, and we will need to know how to combine like terms. Okay, if you've forgotten, we remember that we combine the coefficients. 5 and 3 gives us 8. Right? As long as we have the same variable, then we're allowed to combine those things. 7a minus 2a, right? This time we're subtracting 7 minus 2. And when there's no number in front, if we need to, we remember that there's a hidden 1, giving us 2y. So we're going to do the same thing when we have x squared and x squared. We're just going to combine the coefficients and leave the exponent alone. So 5x squared and 3x squared gives us 8x squared. Just like 5x and 3x gives us 8x. We didn't do anything with the x. Okay, 7a cubed and 2a cubed, we are subtracting, and so we get 5a cubed the same way that 7 minus 2a would give us 5a. And finally, y to the fifth plus y to the fifth is simply 2y to the fifth, writing the hidden 1 if we need to. We do not combine the exponents. That would only be if we were multiplying. When you're doing this, you need to remember to only add things that are like terms. So like terms mean the same variable, but also the same exponent. And so looking here, we see a 4x squared. We also see a minus x squared, remembering there's really a 1, and take that minus sign along for the ride. 4 minus 1 is 3. And so we get 3x squared. Cross them out if you want. Leaves us with 5x cubed and 9x cubed. 5 plus 9 gives us 14. And you're done. There's nothing you can do to combine those any further. If you did, it would be wrong. You're going to see it a little bit differently now. Okay, in the past you've seen it more like this. Sometimes it'll be presented to you like this, where we're combining two polynomials. And what will happen sometimes, for coming from another context, is that there will be parentheses there. Those parentheses are not doing anything in this case. Okay, when there's a plus sign between the parentheses, they don't do anything. You can simply combine these. So 7 and 3 gives us 10. 5 and, careful, negative 2 gives us positive 3. And then 4 and 14, okay, gives us 18. You could try the second one if you want. Pause the video and I'll catch up with you in a minute. Okay, 3x cubed and 4x cubed, but it's a negative, so that's going to leave us with just 1x cubed. You can write it like that, or you can get rid of the 1. It's your choice. Doesn't matter to me. 2x squared, 3x squared, 5x squared. Okay, don't change the variable. And then numbers work the same way they always do. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. And you're done. That's as far as you can go. Okay, adding is just combining like terms. Subtracting works a little bit different, but we'll see that in a minute. Sometimes they like to put things out of order, and sometimes they like to make it where things don't combine. All right, students get so used to seeing examples like this where like, you know, the x squared is in the first spot and the x squared is in the first spot. Just be careful because sometimes they will rearrange it. You know, there's a 10x to the 4 here. The other x to the 4 is not until the end of the problem. So you get 21x to the 4. All right, and then cross them out if you need to. Negative 16 plus 12, that's going to give me negative 4. And then there's this 6x cubed, but it doesn't go with anything, so we're just going to leave it alone. And now you're done. Okay, so when you're adding, just combine the coefficients. If you want to give these a try, give that first one a try. I'll explain how to do the second one. Okay, for the first one, 5, and really, remember there's a 1, so 6x squared minus 7, right? 3 minus 7, so minus 4, negative 4, and then plus 2, plus 6, plus 8. For the second one, subtraction is a little bit different. When you subtract, you want to add the opposite. And so what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the problem. Keep the first thing the same, change this to a plus sign, and then change the sign of everything inside. We're going to add the opposite. So this would become negative 7v cubed. This would become positive 10v to the 4. And this will become positive 14. Okay, so when you see a subtraction, you want to change it to a plus sign, and then change the sign of everything in the right set of parentheses only. Because we're going to see in a minute, what we're doing is we're distributing a negative. And it changes all the signs. And now you combine like terms. Careful, v squared goes with this v squared at the end. So 34v squared. 9, negative 9v cubed. Negative 7v cubed. Negative 9 minus 7 is negative 16. And then there's a 10v to the 4 that just doesn't go with anything else, so we're just going to write it. And now we're done. Okay, so when we add, it's just combining like terms. When you subtract, you want to add the opposite. So let me add one more example for you to try. I'll just write it back on this slide. Try this example. Minus okay, pause the video if you want to try it. Change the minus to a plus and add the opposite. Okay, so what we're going to do is turn that into a plus sign and then change the sign of everything else. And now we can write our final answer. Okay, so I will say 5 minus 2 is 3, right? Because really we're doing 5 plus negative 2, but that's really like 5 minus 2. Okay, so we get 3x squared, and then 7 and negative 5 gives us positive 2, and then negative 3 plus 11 gives us positive 8. And we're done. Okay, so that's one thing you need to know for today, how to add and subtract. The other thing we're going to talk about is how to do the distributive property. Okay, so when you distribute, you are multiplying. Now we've been doing this for quite a while with exponents, so this is nothing new. You'll remember that we multiply the numbers and we add the exponents. Because again, when we do like x squared times x to the third, what we're really doing is x times x times x times x times x, but all together, that's 5x's. And so what did you do with the 2 and the 3? You added them to get 5. Okay, so what you're going to do here is you're going to distribute like you've always distributed. And you will multiply the numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. X squared times x cubed is x to the 5th. Multiply the numbers, add the exponents. Okay, that includes, by the way, the minus sign in front of the 9 here. So that will be negative 27, 3 times 9, and then don't forget about the hidden 1. X squared times x to the 1st is x cubed, and now we're done. I'll show a few more examples. You can distribute more than twice. You can just keep going all the way down. Again, multiply the numbers, add the exponents. Maybe you need to write it when you do this. Okay, so 15, right? 5 times 3, x to the 7. Keep going. Distribute down to the 4. Don't forget that there's a negative in front, minus 20. Really, there's a hidden 1, so x to the 3rd, 2 plus 1. And then times 1, well, anything times 1 is just itself, but also you can just think you're going to do 5 times 1 is 5. And there's no x's, so you just leave the x squared alone. It just stays x squared. And now you're done. A couple more examples. Okay, here in this case you have a negative x squared. Again, think of that as really being a negative 1 in front, and distribute it through. You would get negative 3, x to the 2 plus 15 is 17. Keep going. Negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. X to the 3rd. Keep going. Negative 1 times positive 2 is negative 2. And there's no x's, so we're just going to keep the x squared that's already there. And that's the idea. Okay, so why don't you try one more here, just to make sure you understand it. I'll just write one out. Okay, pause the video and try it if you wish. Okay, distributing through. Should get 20x to the 9 plus 15x to the 7 minus 20x cubed. All right, so if you feel like you understood all that, you could go try Unit 8, Lesson 1. There is a new module on Canvas called Unit 8. If you're having any trouble finding things, just let me know. If you have any questions, please just shoot me an email. Otherwise, have a great day.